If you can't control your mind, you can't control your life.
There's a battle happening inside you, right now. Not outside, inside your own mind. Every day, your mind tells you what to do. Rest a little more. Start tomorrow. This is too hard. And without realizing it, you listen. That's how people lose control of their life. Not because they are weak, but because they never learn to control their mind. The truth is simple. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your biggest enemy. And if you don't take control, it will control you. So the real question is not, how do I become successful? The real question is, who is in control? You or your mind?
There is something controlling your life right now. And the truth is, you don't even notice it. It is not your situation. It is not your past. It is not other people. It is your mind. Your own mind is either your greatest strength or your biggest weakness. Every single day, it speaks to you. Not out loud, but inside your head. A constant voice. Telling you what to do. Telling you what not to do. And most of the time, you follow it without question. It tells you you're tired, and you stop. It tells you you'll do it tomorrow, and you delay. It tells you this is too hard, and you quit. You don't realize it, but you are obeying it. Slowly, day by day, your life is being shaped by thoughts you didn't even choose. This is how people lose control. Not in one big moment, but in small decisions. Decisions made automatically, without awareness, without resistance. And over time, these small decisions become habits. Habits of delay, habits of excuses, habits of inaction. And those habits create your life. This is why some people stay stuck. Not because they don't have potential, not because they don't have opportunities, but because they don't control their mind. Their mind controls them. And when your mind controls you, you live on autopilot. You react instead of choosing. You follow instead of leading. You drift instead of moving forward. This is dangerous, because if you are not in control, something else is. And in this case, it is your thoughts. But here is the truth most people never realize. Your thoughts are not always correct. Your mind lies. It tells you things that feel real, but are not true. It tells you to avoid effort. It tells you to seek comfort. It tells you to take the easy path. Because your mind is designed to protect you, to keep you safe, to avoid pain. But growth requires discomfort. Progress requires effort. Success requires pushing beyond comfort. So there is a conflict between what your mind wants and what your life needs. And most people choose what their mind wants. They choose comfort. They choose ease. They choose temporary relief. And in doing so, they sacrifice their future. They trade long-term success for short-term comfort. This is the trap, and it is very easy to fall into, because it feels natural. It feels normal. But normal does not lead to success. Normal leads to average. And average is where most people stay. Not because they have to, but because they never learn to control their mind. So the real question is not, what are you capable of? The real question is, can you control your thoughts? Because if you can, everything changes. If you can't, nothing will. This is where the shift begins. The moment you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. You are the one deciding whether to follow them or ignore them. That moment is power. Because now you have a choice. Before, you were reacting automatically. Now, you can respond intentionally. Before, your mind was leading you. Now, you can lead your mind. And that is where control begins.
Now that you understand your mind is controlling you, let's go deeper. Why does your mind do this? Why does it keep pulling you toward comfort? Why does it resist anything difficult? The answer is simple. Your mind is built for survival, not for success. Thousands of years ago, your mind's only job was to keep you alive. Avoid danger. Avoid pain. Save energy. That's it. And even today, it still works the same way. It tries to protect you. But the problem is, what used to protect you is now holding you back. Because in today's world, there is no real danger in hard work. There is no real danger in discipline. There is no real danger in discomfort. But your mind treats it like a threat. It sees effort as something to avoid. It sees struggle as something negative. So it sends signals. Don't do this. This is too much. Take it easy. And if you don't understand this, you will believe it. You will think, I'm not ready. I need more time. I'll start later. But in reality, it's just your mind trying to keep you comfortable. This is why discipline feels hard. Not because it's impossible, but because your mind is resisting it. And resistance is normal. Every time you try to do something difficult, you will feel it. That feeling of not wanting to start. That urge to delay. That voice telling you to stop. That is your mind testing you. And most people fail that test. They listen. They give in. They choose comfort. But every time you choose comfort, you weaken your control. You train your mind to dominate you. You teach it that its voice is stronger than your decision. And slowly, you lose authority over yourself. But here's the powerful part. You can reverse this. Every time you do the opposite, you take control back. When your mind says stop, and you continue, you win. When your mind says later, and you start now, you win. When your mind says this is hard, and you push through, you win. These are small victories, but they matter. Because each one builds strength. Not physical strength, but mental strength. And mental strength is what controls everything. Your actions, your habits, your results. So don't try to eliminate resistance. You can't. Resistance will always be there. Instead, learn to act despite it. That is the key. Because winners don't feel less resistance. They just don't obey it. They feel the same discomfort, the same doubt, the same struggle. But they move anyway. And that's what makes them different. Not talent, not luck, but control. Control over their mind. Control over their actions. Control over their life. So the next time you feel resistance, don't see it as a problem. See it as a signal. A signal that you are doing something important, something that will move you forward. Because comfort never creates growth. Only resistance does. So don't run from it. Face it. And every time you face it, you become stronger. And every time you become stronger, your mind becomes weaker. Until one day, it stops controlling you. And you start controlling it.
Now, the real question is, how do you actually control your mind? Not in theory, but in real life. Because understanding is one thing, but control is something else. And this is where most people struggle. They know what to do, but they don't do it. So let's make it practical. The first step is awareness. You have to notice your thoughts, not follow them, not react to them, just notice them. Because the moment you become aware, you create distance. Distance between you and your thoughts. And in that distance, you gain control. Instead of immediately reacting, you pause, you observe. You ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Or is this just an excuse? This simple question changes everything. Because most thoughts are automatic. They are not chosen. They are just patterns, old habits, repeated again and again. So if you don't question them, you will keep repeating them. But once you start questioning, you break the pattern. Now comes the second step. Do the opposite. When your mind tells you something negative, do the opposite. Mind says, I'm tired. You say, move anyway. Mind says, skip today. You say, start now. Mind says, this is too hard. You say, that's why I'm doing it. This is how you train your mind, not by thinking, but by acting. Because your mind learns from your actions, not your intentions. Every time you act against excuses, you reprogram your mind. You teach it that you are in control, not it. The third step is repetition. You don't win in one day. You don't become strong instantly. Control is built through repetition, daily, consistent, again and again. At first, it will feel hard, very hard. Your mind will resist more. It will push back. It will try to convince you harder, but don't stop, because that resistance means you are changing. You are breaking old patterns. You are building new ones. And over time, it gets easier. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become stronger. Your reactions change, your habits change, your identity changes. You become someone who does not listen to excuses, someone who acts with control, someone who dominates their mind. And once you reach that level, everything becomes different. Decisions become easier, focus becomes stronger, discipline becomes natural, because now you are not fighting your mind anymore, you are leading it. And that is real power, not controlling others, but controlling yourself. Because if you can control your mind, you can control your actions. And if you control your actions, you control your future. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the right feeling. Start building control right now, in small moments, in daily decisions. Because every moment you choose discipline, you take control back. And every time you take control back, you move closer to the person you want to become.
In the end, this is what it comes down to. You versus your mind. Not the world. Not other people. Not your situation. Just you and the thoughts inside your head. Because every action you take starts with a thought. Every habit you build starts with a thought. Every decision you make starts with a thought. So if your thoughts are weak, your life will follow. But if your thoughts are controlled, your life will change. This is why control is everything. Not control over others, but control over yourself. Because once you control your mind, you remove excuses. You remove delay. You remove hesitation. And what remains is action. Clear, focused, consistent action. And that is what creates results. Not motivation, not luck, Not perfect conditions, just controlled actions, repeated daily. Most people wait. They wait for the right mood. They wait for the right time. They wait for motivation. But nothing happens. Because waiting is just another form of avoidance. And avoidance is controlled by the mind. So if you want to change your life, you cannot wait. You must act. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's difficult. Even when your mind tells you not to. Because those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that build strength. Those are the moments that separate you from everyone else. Every time you choose action over excuses, you become stronger. Every time you ignore comfort, you gain control. Every time you push forward, you change your future. And slowly, step by step, you transform. Not instantly, not dramatically, but consistently. And consistency is what creates real change. One decision at a time. One action at a time. One day at a time. Until one day, you realize something. Your mind is no longer controlling you. You are controlling it. You no longer listen to excuses. You no longer depend on motivation. You no longer hesitate. You act. You decide. You move forward. Without fear, without delay, without doubt. Because now, you trust yourself. You trust your discipline. You trust your control. And that trust is power. Because once you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become stronger. Stronger than your excuses. Stronger than your doubts. Stronger than your old habits. And that is the real transformation. From being controlled to being in control. From reacting to deciding. From weakness to strength. So remember this. Every single day, your mind will try to stop you. It will try to slow you down. It will try to keep you comfortable. But you have a choice. You can listen, or you can lead. You can follow, or you can control. Because in the end, either you control your mind, or your mind controls you. And that decision will shape your entire life.